At 71, John Travolta has not announced a retirement, staged a farewell, or delivered a final performance meant to seal his legacy. Instead, his departure from the spotlight feels quiet and unforced, like a long breath released after decades of motion. There is no closing curtain or dramatic exit, only a gradual stepping back that suggests reflection rather than retreat. This silence feels intentional. Travolta has lived long enough inside fame to understand that not every chapter needs commentary. After ruling box offices, defining cultural eras, disappearing, returning, and enduring loss, he seems content letting the noise fade. This isn't about age alone, it's about weight. The weight of success earned too young, reinvention demanded too often, and grief carried without spectacle. When someone who has survived this much begins closing doors gently, it isn't surrender, it's acceptance, and perhaps the most honest performance of all. A childhood, shaped by art and encouragement. Before disco floors and movie premieres, John Joseph Travolta was simply the youngest voice in a busy New Jersey household. Born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, he grew up as the sixth child in a working-class family, where attention had to be earned. His father, Salvatore, sold tires and valued discipline, while his mother, Helen Cecilia, brought creativity into the home as an actress, singer, and drama teacher. That contrast shaped him early. Performance wasn't an abstract dream, it was a daily presence. Rehearsals happened in the living room. Expression was encouraged, not indulged. Helen didn't promise fame, but she taught craft, focus, and confidence. She also protected him early, worried that a strong New York accent and street-smart roles might limit his future. That quiet belief, planted before the world noticed him, became the foundation he carried into every uncertain room he would later enter. Learning to speak through the movement. Long before John Travolta became known for his voice or screen presence, he learned to communicate through his body. Dance became his language. As a child and teenager, he studied jazz, tap, and movement with discipline that went beyond play. While others chased sports or rebellion, he memorized routines, practiced posture, and learned how energy travels through space. Dance gave him control when words failed. It also gave him confidence. Movement taught him timing, restraint, and how to command attention without forcing it. This physical awareness would later separate him from other actors. He didn't just perform choreography, he embodied rhythm. By his early teens, school felt secondary to performance, and his family recognized it. They didn't push him into safety. They supported commitment. That encouragement allowed him to pursue acting seriously while still young, gaining experience that most aspiring performers don't reach until much later. Leaving school to chase the stage. At 16, John Travolta made a decision that would define his life. He left Dwight Morrow High School and moved to New York City to pursue acting full-time. It sounds reckless, but it wasn't impulsive. He calculated the risk and accepted the consequences. New York in the early 1970s was unforgiving, competitive, and crowded with ambition. But it was also the center of American theater. Travolta immersed himself in auditions, acting classes, and dance training. He worked quietly, landing roles in touring productions and off-Broadway shows, learning discipline rather than chasing attention. One early milestone came when he joined the stage production of Grease. Years before Danny Zuko became iconic, Travolta was already living inside that world of rhythm and attitude. These years weren't glamorous. They were anonymous, demanding, and formative, shaping an actor who arrived prepared, not lucky. Television opens the door. By the mid-1970s, Travolta had done the invisible work. All he needed was visibility. Television gave him that opportunity in 1975 when he was cast as Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. On paper, it was a supporting role in a classroom sitcom. In practice, it changed everything. Vinnie felt authentic, not exaggerated. The accent, posture, and relaxed confidence didn't look acted. They looked lived. Audiences responded immediately. The show became a hit, and Travolta emerged as its breakout star. But television fame was risky. Sitcom actors were often trapped by their roles, dismissed by Hollywood as limited. Travolta understood that danger. He didn't settle. He kept training, auditioning, and positioning himself for film work. Casting directors noticed something else, too. He filled the camera naturally. He understood framing and restraint. He wasn't just popular. He was ready. The film that changed culture. In 1977, Saturday Night Fever didn't just launch John Travolta into superstardom, it reshaped popular culture. His portrayal of Tony Manero wasn't a disco fantasy. It was raw, restless, and deeply human. Beneath the confidence was frustration, vulnerability, and a desire for escape. Travolta trained relentlessly for the role, but it was the emotional honesty that resonated most. Audiences didn't just watch Tony dance. They recognized themselves in his longing. The film exploded worldwide. The soundtrack dominated charts. Fashion, music, and movement shifted overnight. At just 24, Travolta earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, becoming one of the youngest nominees at the time. He was no longer a television star crossing over. He was a symbol. Film had transformed a familiar face into a cultural myth. Two icons, one moment in time. If Saturday Night Fever was gritty and grounded, Grease in 1978 was bright, nostalgic, and unstoppable. As Danny Zuko, Travolta leaned into charm without losing control. The roles cemented his appeal across generations. The film became the highest-grossing movie musical of its era, and its songs became cultural shorthand. In less than 2 years, Travolta had defined two completely different identities, each iconic in its own way. He didn't just star in hits. He shaped how young men dressed, moved, and expressed themselves. Dance became mainstream, confident, and aspirational. Yet fame arrived too fast. Expectations became impossible. There was no room to fail quietly or evolve gradually. The image grew larger than the man, and the industry demanded permanence from something born of timing and youth. When the music stopped by the early 1980s, cultural tastes shifted sharply. Disco faded and backlash followed. Travolta's close association with the era made him an easy target. Films like Moment by Moment, Two of a Kind, and Perfect underperformed, and the narrative changed quickly. Just years earlier, he was untouchable. Now studios hesitated, offers slowed. Hollywood, which had elevated him rapidly, showed little patience when momentum stalled. Masculinity on screen was being redefined. Action heroes replaced expressive performers, and Travolta no longer fit the dominant mold. He didn't disappear, but he drifted to the margins. This period is often labeled failure, but it was persistence. He kept working, waiting, and reassessing without spectacle. The fall wasn't sudden. It was gradual, quiet, and humbling. Reinvention. No one expected. In the early 1990s, one filmmaker looked past reputation and saw potential. Quentin Tarantino cast John Travolta as Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, a decision that shocked the industry. The role was unglamorous, unpredictable, and deeply human. Travolta embraced imperfection, letting go of image entirely. The result was electric. Audiences rediscovered him. Critics praised his restraint. He earned another Academy Award nomination, nearly 2 decades after his first. The comeback wasn't nostalgia, it was reinvention. Films like Get Shorty, Face/Off, and Primary Colors followed, proving his range. What made this return remarkable wasn't just success, but timing. Hollywood rarely grants second chances, let alone ones built on humility rather than hype. Travolta had re-entered on his own terms. Grief redefines everything. After marrying Kelly Preston and becoming a father, Travolta's priorities shifted steadily inward. The loss of his son Jet in 2009 marked a permanent turning point. Career ambition faded in importance. Acting became optional, no longer an escape or a measure of worth. When Kelly passed away in 2020, that inward turn deepened. He withdrew further from public life, choosing privacy, fatherhood, and emotional steadiness over visibility. His later career reflects this change. Fewer films, minimal press, no pursuit of awards. There was no announcement, only a gradual quieting. What remains is not absence, but intention. Travolta allows his legacy to stand without reinforcement, having lived through fame, rejection, resurrection, and loss, without turning pain into performance. Letting the legacy speak for itself. John Travolta's story is rare not because of success alone, but because of endurance. He experienced meteoric fame, public dismissal, improbable revival, and profound personal loss, yet resisted spectacle at every stage. Now, as he steps back quietly, there is no sense of regret, only completion. His influence remains visible in culture, music, fashion, and performance. But he no longer chases relevance. He doesn't need to. Some legacies are built by staying loud. Others are sealed by knowing when to be still. Travolta has chosen the latter. And in doing so, he reminds us that survival itself can be a triumph, and that sometimes the most powerful exit is the one that doesn't ask to be noticed.